Hey everybody, it's your girl Marissa-Anne, and I'm here to do a part two to the video that I posted uh, several days ago, about a week ago. So what I want to talk about in part two is about learning to like what you like. Um, you know, being a black person and being into nerdy stuff. Um, wasn't always accepted by people that I was around. Um, you know, because I didn't always feel that because, I'm a girl. So I'm being trained to like girl stuff. Because when I was a kid, I didn't really like the girly stuff. Like, I hated Barbie dolls. I really hated Barbie dolls. Didn't like them. I didn't want them as gifts. But when I got them as a gift, I just accepted it. Sometimes I would play with it, but there were times um, that I just didn't because I wasn't really interested in it. Um, the only like quote unquote girly toys that I would play with a lot were stuffed animals because I love stuffed animals. But a lot of the toys that I wanted in TV shows and movies that I wanted to watch and play with all had to be they were considered like, quote unquote, like, I guess, boy stuff. I liked Batman. I liked Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. I liked Power Rangers. I liked action figures. Okay. I liked boys role playing toys because as a kid, I was a straight up tomboy. I didn't always like to play with the girls. I always liked to play with the boys because they just had stuff that was just more interesting to me. So when I was in school, um, I would try to play with the boys, but the boys that I tried to play with didn't want to play with me for whatever reason. But there was like a handful of them that I would play with. Um, and not to say I didn't like to play with the girls because I did, but it was hard to find girls to play with that had the same interests as me. Um, so it was kind of hard growing up. But when I met my wife, and we were dating at the time, she made me feel safe to where I could express that nerdy side of me. I could feel comfortable reading comic books, watching comic book movies, um, collecting, you know, uh, action figures and stuff like that, playing with Legos, because I love me some Legos. Um, she just made me feel more comfortable, uh, basically telling me it's okay for you to be yourself. It's okay for you to be a blurred. If you don't know what a blurred is, it's a black nerd. And then, as time went on, I started getting back into um, the fandom. Like, I was always part of the fandoms, but I never really participated with anybody outside of like some family members. At one point, I was part of the Star Wars fandom, but I stopped. Until this day, I don't really like associating with the Star Wars fandom just because, you know, people don't, people go after you or treat you like crap because you like what you like. Like, there's a lot of people who only like episodes 4, 5, and 6. And that's it. Like, that's your baseline. Nothing else is more important. There's people who like the original trilogy plus the prequel trilogy and plus, episodes 7, 8, and 9. I'm one of those people. I like all the movies. I like the TV shows. I like all of it. Do I got like some gripes about some of the shows and some of the movies? Yes, I do. But I'm not going to sit up here and downtrot somebody because of what they like in the Star Wars fandom. So because I kept experiencing that not only online but in person, I just stopped associating myself with people who watch Star Wars, except for close friends and family members who I can have a healthy debate with. Now, the one fandom that I have never left, one of the fandoms that I have never left is the Star Trek fandom. And one of the things that I am learning about the Star Trek fandom is that it's very tribal. People go after you for liking what you like. If you like the new stuff, the modern Trek that's coming out, they go after you and tell you that's not real Star Trek and all this other mess. But you know what? Just because they don't like it doesn't mean it's not Star Trek. It's just not Star Trek for them. Not all Star Trek shows, not all Star Trek movies, not all Star Trek merchandise and comic books and all this other stuff is made for every Trekkie out there. It's not. If all the stuff is made for you, then that's good for you. But because I experienced that, I never told anybody that the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager was my favorite character, out of fear that people would make fun of me for that, or may just look at me weird or whatever, or because I don't know what people's reaction was going to be. I always thought that the reaction was going to be the negative because of how I see how other Star Trek fans treat other Star Trek fans. And you tend to see a lot of the negativity online. People say stuff to each other online that they would not dare say to people to their faces. So, like I said, because of all of that stuff that I saw online, and also some videos that I have seen online of not just people complaining about Star Trek and the new stuff, but saying comments and making assumptions, just being downright cruel and mean. I just wouldn't tell anybody that the Doctor was my favorite character, because usually when somebody asks you who's your favorite Star Trek character, you're going to hear one of the captains. You're going to hear one of the engineers. When it comes to the doctors, you're usually going to hear either Bones, which is Dr. McCoy, or you're going to hear Beverly Crusher. You don't really hear the EMH being brought up. But yeah, I learned, just like the Doctor, to not care about what other people think about what it is that I like. I'm going to live my life and I'm going to like what I like, regardless of how anybody else thinks. And rewatching Voyager and rewatching and paying attention a little bit more to the character of the Doctor has helped me to find out the type of person that I am. It's also helped me to understand that it's okay for me to be me. It's helped me to understand that, when I look in the mirror, I see somebody who's a good person. I see someone who cares about others. I see someone who does what is best for them and doesn't pay attention to what other people have to say. Because, like my aunt has always told me, people's opinions about me are none of my business. And she's absolutely right. So, never be ashamed of who you are. Don't be ashamed of liking what it is that you like. Like what you like. Enjoy it. Revel in it. Because liking what you like brings you peace. It brings you joy. So, I'm no longer embarrassed about liking the Doctor, liking that character. And I'm no longer ashamed of telling people that, because I reached a point in my life some time ago to be comfortable with liking what I like and loving myself. And I want to tell you all the same thing. Like what you like, love yourselves, be good to yourselves, and I will see you on the next one. Bye, everybody.